what I have trouble with is how can I choose a font that makes us maybe stand out a little bit. For example, it adds to the branding of our company. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it shouldn't fall out of the usual too much in a way that it is maybe too complex and then we need to change it again after a year.
What is up, typography enthusiasts? I'm Oliver Schöndorfer, here to help you with the big questions in life. How can you find a good font combination for your website? Daniel, co-founder of Facilitator School, did some redesign and considered some new typefaces for their website. Now he's not sure what fits to his new choice, IBM Plex Sans. At first we analyze the current website, where I find out that this is not such an ideal combination. Then we look into some examples like from Miro or others that are standing out and are helping us understand what a good type combination makes, and especially for headings. Then we dig into the construction of typefaces a lot. I share with Daniel my process, how he can choose a good font combination, and this leaves him with some ideas and approaches that he can apply for his project. After this coaching call, Daniel comes up with a new typeface for their website, which I will review at the end of the video, so stay for that to see my reaction on it. If you always feel challenged and get the feeling that it takes you forever to choose and combine typefaces, there's an online course coming up where you can learn how to pair typefaces like a pro, which will make you faster and a master. That's just great wording here, isn't it? Anyway, without further ado, now let's dive into it, and welcome to Pimp My Type. You're using Open Sans and Pop-ins, and Pop-in seems to be used for the display texts, which is the headings and the larger stuff, and then for the body text and all the other functional text, you're using Open Sans. Pop-ins is from its construction and how it's shaped a very geometric typeface. Mm-hmm. Which means you can see this like the circular A, the circular E, the circular O. It's it seems very constructed. And on the other hand, you have Open Sans, which is a typeface that is more dynamic from its form model, from the shapes. You can see it, for example, here at the E, it's an open E, or at the S, which is also open. This is more or less, these are two kind of form models that are combined there. It works okay since you're using this sans serif style and that sans serif style for two different kinds of texts and in two different weights. It would become problematic if you would use pop-ins in regular or light combined with the Open Sans in a similar weight, because this would be a problem when you see it close together, because then from their first appearance they would be very similar, but then from their construction and from their form model they would be very different, and then you would say, oh, why is it this way, that way? But since you're using it in your headings anyway, and there I'd say it's okay, so it's not getting so much into the way of each other. This now is a bit different. Okay, so you're now a little more towards this grotesque styles. Which is
remind me shortly again, grotesque.
No worries. It's like just like Inter or San Francisco Roboto. This would be more or less, but it's some kind of something in between. Here in this dynamic form model, it's something like hug me. It's a bit more friendly, human, approachable. And here it's a bit more restrained, stricter, but also a bit more trendy. So this would be then this style, since you can see that it's a bit more stiff and but also a bit quirky in the details. IBM Plex, oh cool. You're using the same one for the headings and for the body text right now. For the body text again, IBM Plex is a good choice for several reasons. When it comes to legibility, it's easy to read. It is more or less associated with something technical regarding its strict and also narrower shapes. But then again, it's widely spread and used. So that's also a downside of it. An easy way to let you stand out a bit more would be to use something different for headings and stuff. For example, when you take a look at Miro, which is a good example, actually.
Yeah, which we use a lot, by the way.
Yeah. You can
we work
see
with
they
that
have,
a lot. And
yeah, they have here a very quirky, also geometric, but very quirky typeface. You see that the strokes of the G extend here on the left side, and this is very eye-catching, but it's only used for the headings. Yeah, and when you take a look at the block, let me see. They use several typefaces here. They also use something else for the body text, for the running text. Which is then a serif typeface to make it easier to read here. And they combine it with this very quirky, very different heading. And this is also more or less a safer bet, since this is very contrasting. You have a serif for the body text, you have a sans serif for the heading. And then only in here they use the serif typeface, I think. Yeah, I hate all these cookie settings. So that's what they want me to do.
I've also sent you a website that I like from the because they also use, I think, even a custom font. Okay. It gives them a very unique style, but then, for example, the blog articles are very easy to read.
Okay, let's take a look at that one. Blog. So you mean this pixeled?
Yeah, I think they have a kind of pixel version of it, but then also I think the normal font is even, at least the heading font. I'm not sure about this font. What is it?
I don't know it either.
Yeah,
so they're using for the body text, they're using IBM Plex, and here you can see from the shapes, also very strict shapes, more narrow, closed. You can see it at the A and at the E. And IBM Plex is the same, but it's easier for longer reading text. So they kind of did what I would recommend to you, finding something that's very different or something that's similar, but a bit more special, crazy, quirky, whatever, with some things where when you... Every time when you take a look at a typeface, when you browse through fonts and you think, oh, that's a cool letter. Oh, that looks pretty interesting, like the F here, for example, or the which stands out a lot, or the question mark or something, And you think, oh, that's a cool letter, or the T with this tail here. Then it's a bad typeface for body text because it's too attention grabbing, but it's a cool typeface then for display text, for heading and stuff. So then I would recommend using something like this for a heading, and then taking a look at the shapes. Are they more closed, more opened? Are they more constructed, which would be then geometric? And first of all, if you say, okay, we're good to go with IBM Plex for the body text, which would be a good choice since it's easy to read.
That fits good.
A lot of text fits into one column, especially on mobile, which is more convenient since you have a narrow line there. You could look for something that's having similar proportions like that, and also will be in this kind of theme. So this would be a reason why you would combine something that's a bit more interesting for the headings and something for the body text but it wouldn't work for the body text alone since it would be too striking there.
Do you have some ideas? Is it then something to look for in Google Fonts, or do you always need to look at a custom font for it that you need to buy?
Yeah, sure. The thing is, the question is, where do you start out of? And when we say, okay, let's go with IBM Plex for body text and functional text, then this is our base, because we have to decide for something first and then look for something that fits with this. If everything's a variable, it's horrible. Since you never will make up your mind. You have to decide for something else.
With IBM Plex, Sans we feel really good. Because
cool.
Also because we use Miro a lot. And in Miro, IBM Plex Sans is also available as a font. So we can use it there as well.
Okay, so you can use it. That's a good point, because you have always a lot of branding considerations that you include there, and availability, like being available in Miro, where you eventually want to provide your templates, then I guess, is also a good idea to brand and make your stuff consistent. So that's a smart choice, at least for the body text then, Okay, so that's a given. We start with IBM Plex, and now we can go. Of course, I start off always at my own site.
That's good, yeah.
Now the approach would be, what do you want? Do you want to have something contrasting, or do you want to have something similar but that's a bit more distinct?
What would be is there something else that could guide me to that choice? Because currently I'm thinking like potentially it's open. We could go both ways.
Then you could just discover and try out. So there are several routes to take from there. Since, for example, when I think about the form model and how shapes, just here going to my own catalog, this is a very crazy and striking typeface from Type Together. It's Belarus. Since it also has these closed shapes you can see, and it's also rather narrow. And you can use a serif style here, and you can use a sans style. It's a variable font where you can switch between both styles. So this would be something that would be very striking for headings and would work there, and could also be then very distinct basically. And from its form model, it's rather similar. This also could fit from the form model, but it's a bit crazy.
It's very wide.
You can. It has
flexible, right?
A lot of a large range of stuff. What it would be? Since it can be very contrasting and can be very linear. Then this would be, for example, here Garino. This is like also this kind of grotesque style. How's it called, with these closed shapes? But a bit more exaggerated. You see that it has more contrast within the shapes, and it's a bit more striking. And I think this could fit well to it. It might be a bit too oval or circlish, but you always, this is the thing, these are just first ideas, and you always have to try this out and in practice and see for it. But this could be an idea here. And they also have plenty of alternative characters, or Julian, I think, was the designer.
Oh, interesting,
where you can switch then to these, for the single story G and the double story A, you leave it in there. So this is also interesting to have these choices, so you can make it better fit when IBM Plex comes with a certain style for lowercase a and G. Another route would be then basically going to sites like Google Fonts. I'm not against Google Fonts. The thing is, as we discussed earlier, the problem here is you have a lot of typefaces that are widely used, and this is a bit problematic. And
especially probably more problematic for the display, for the headings, right?
Because
for the text, maybe it helps even a little bit, kind of, because
people are familiar with it, you mean?
Yeah, because people are familiar, or there's kind of a standard emerging, or what's popular is maybe something that's also easy to read. Maybe not. I don't have very strong opinions on that. The thing is that I only think that when you use something for a display style, you should use something that's not that widely spread. And you can always go on Google Fonts and just select, let's say, sans serif, or also it could also be handwritten or something like that, and then sort it by trending, and then scroll to the bottom and go from there up and find this approach. I like this approach, since you would also then say, okay, it's not that widely spread, but then at times the typefaces are not that well, not all are very well made, so then it would be a bit problematic. And here again, look for the same form model. If it's a closed, more narrow, and the A and the G and the E, for example. So this would be an approach how to do it. Like I said, here you see it's an open E, it's an open S, it's not closing the shape. And to be specific there as well, so open E, open and closed.
Here the E opens to its surrounding, and the A. And here it closes. And here as well, the S is closed. This is something called the apertures. Here again, it's also closed, but this is just one way to look at it, And but maybe you can go for very contrasting stuff as well. So always depending on what you're looking for, and maybe you find something you like, and it's so different. For example, like this here, which is very casual and cool, maybe. This is so different that it also could fit, but only for the heading, one heading maybe, only the H1 then, just as an idea. But it then depends again on what mood you want to convey. Yeah. So making up your mind before that is easier, since you know better what you're looking for then. And then you can better say, do you want to go for contrast, or do you want to go for similarity? Because the problems happen when you stay in between and you're not really decided. Should it be different or should it be the same?
Yeah. That's good advice.
So these are just some basic advices, but eventually you'll have to make up your mind on also, as you say, Apfel Grotezk is something that also is something in between styles. It's something that's geometric, but also that's in this closed letters shape style. Could also be an interesting combination. And here, or right grotesque, which is more narrow then. Trying this stuff out and things will be the only way to see it, yeah?
Were you saying that it should be matching with the closed and open characters? So if I'm looking right now, I think IBM Plex Sans is open, right?
Yeah, it's open. That's the thing. They did it that way because it's easier to read when things are open in smaller sizes, because they don't get too dark there. That's the reason. And that's also the thing. It basically has opened shapes, but from its feeling, it's more restrained and closed and narrow, even though they opened the shapes. It's not with classification and categorization of typefaces. It's not like this is one way or another way. There's a lot of in between and everything's mixed, and that's fine.
A lot of variables.
Yes. Right? And it's just better looking at typefaces, and you can also see that there is no angle there. It's just the stress from the typeface is very vertical. It's very, it expands to the sides, and there's not something like calligraphic in there, like with comma base. You can see that there is, let's say, you can see that there's an angle in this. You could imagine being written with a broad nib pen or something there.
Yeah.
Does this help you at all, or is it just crazy man talking?
No, actually, I think like what you said about IBM Plex Sans, I mean, I just picked it out of kind of intuition.
Yeah.
I think that like made me much surer about like, okay, this is a great font to pick for the body.
Yeah.
And now I kind of aligned my intuition also with what I know from you about like what makes this font great. So I think that is now what we will definitely go with for the base font. Also, given that it's also part of Miro's fonts, which are very restricted inside the Miro app. So that's great for us as well.
Yeah.
And then for the display, I think actually I need to experiment because I actually like what Miro is doing, Ahref is doing, and I also think Figma is doing it now. They also have like a display font that just stands out and it's their branding. I would love to do something like this as well, and I just need to, I think, experiment and see. I will definitely start with maybe more extreme types and see like, okay, how from there to tone it down a little bit to a level that I think is comfortable, because what we do is a lot around like professional services, right? Trainings for organizations. We have a lot of people coming from, for example, the big consulting companies to our website. It should for them feel like, okay, this is unique, this is fresh, this looks like very well designed, but at the same time it's also professional, and it speaks of trust and it's well made. IBM Plex Sans then for the body and for the display font, we need to experiment a little bit and see what works there best.
So between the coaching call and now, some time has passed, and Daniel picked another typeface, and he settled for Apfel Grotezk. Brilliant. Great choice, Daniel. What makes it so interesting, in my opinion, is that it kind of exaggerates these features of this grotesque style and mixes it together again with geometric. So it's something in between. It again works because it's bold and the text below is regular. And it totally changes the feeling of the website, comparing it with the before website, which is a bit more common with these images and the very common pop-ins and open sans combination. This now looks a bit more stylish, more sophisticated, and also more interesting. In the blog, it also performs very well. You can see here that in the small headings it still works, and The old one, yeah, very, very common, very, let's say boring. Always a great choice to move away from OpenSense and find something more interesting, something more striking, which can change the atmosphere of your project and your brand. If you have a project you want to have my opinion on, consider sending it in for a free typographic review or for my paid coaching calls. Link is in the description below. But now, don't forget to like and hit that red button that says in terribly spaced all caps letters, subscribe, and see you in the next one. Bye. Yeah, because Grapher, the joke is that it's a typo here.
Ah, okay, that as well. Okay, because I thought there's also a bit more distance between the O and the G and the other letters.
Is to emphasize on the typo. In my content, as you might already have discovered, a lot of typos, so that's the thing.
For us, the same. For example, now we rebuild the website, and then I'm going through the content with a bit more detail, and I'm like, oh, what? This was like on our website for half a year. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's always the question. Should it hinder you to push out more stuff and help people, or should you own it? I make these mistakes. I can't do anything about it, and it would take me too much energy to really make it perfect. So exactly. I own it.